In 2026, Russia stands on the edge of its deepest crisis under Vladimir Putin. The myth of Fortress Russia is collapsing, battered by endless war and economic decay. A massive budget deficit, 5 times higher than planned, shows a nation bleeding itself dry for war, while schools and hospitals crumble. The Kremlin's desperate money printing and reserve draining are mere bandages on a system built for a world that no longer exists. The pillars of the economy, industry, consumer spending, public services are cracking, and ordinary Russians now feel the pain in their daily lives. The fortress was built on sand, and the tide is sweeping it away. Russia's war industries, once symbols of strength, are now faltering. Uralvagonzavod, the tank factory, is laying off thousands as both military and civilian production collapse. Across the country, tank and armored vehicle output has plummeted, and even civilian giants like Avtovaz and Rostelmash have slashed work weeks as sales and demand vanish. Construction has ground to a halt, with cement factories shuttered and coal miners left jobless. The war economy, once hailed as a growth engine, is now a parasite, draining the civilian sector. Rusting factories and silent assembly lines mark the decline, a nation cannibalized by its own militarism. The industrial heartland is withering, and the war machine is running on fumes. The cost of war is visible in every shuttered plant and lost job. Official jobless numbers hide a grim truth. Millions are underemployed working fewer hours for shrinking pay. Factories like Avtovaz and Rostelmash keep workers on the books but cut their wages and hours, masking the real crisis. Unpaid wages have tripled, and skilled workers are abandoning their trades for gig jobs just to survive. The social contract, stability in exchange for freedom, is broken. Hidden unemployment is a quiet catastrophe, eroding hope and hollowing out communities. The state can no longer guarantee a fair wage or a future. The silent factories and struggling families are the true face of collapse. To fight inflation, Russia's central bank has hiked interest rates above 25%, choking the civilian economy. Business loans now carry 30% interest, making growth or survival impossible for most companies outside the war sector. Banks are drowning in bad loans, especially from inefficient defense firms, and a banking crisis looms as state reserves dwindle. The National Wealth Fund is nearly drained, leaving little to prop up banks or social services. The Kremlin's war spending is suffocating the economy. It needs to survive. The system is running out of air, and the financial vice is tightening. Russia's energy empire, once its pride, is in freefall. Gas exports to Europe have collapsed to 1970s levels, and Gazprom is hemorrhaging billions. Pivoting to China has made Russia a dependent supplier, forced to sell gas at rock-bottom prices. Oil revenues have plunged, with new sanctions slashing prices far below what the Kremlin needs. Gazprom's cash reserves are nearly gone, and the state can no longer fund both war and welfare. The energy fortress has been breached by its own miscalculations. Pipelines that once projected power now drain Russia's wealth at a discount. The era of energy-fueled dominance is over. For ordinary Russians, the crisis is now personal, felt in soaring food prices and empty shelves. Real inflation on essentials is up to 50%, and theft prevention measures in stores reveal deepening poverty. Consumer spending on non-essentials has collapsed, and daily life is marked by austerity and anxiety. Infrastructure is crumbling as funds are diverted to war. Power outages and broken heating leave thousands freezing. The state can project power abroad, but can't keep its citizens warm or fed. The promise of greatness rings hollow in cold apartments and empty kitchens. This is the hidden front of the war, fought in homes, not on battlefields. As 2026 unfolds, Russia faces a future shaped by exhaustion, collapse, and lost potential. The war economy has gutted civilian life, and a generation of skilled workers is lost to brain drain and emigration. By selling resources cheaply to China and alienating Europe, Russia has surrendered its economic independence. High interest rates and a starved civilian sector ensure no new growth engines will emerge. The system's fragility is exposed. It can no longer provide basic services or hope. The unraveling is not just economic, it's a human crisis with millions facing a colder, poorer, and more uncertain future. The era of invincibility is over, the reckoning has begun.